Thank you for listening to the Unscripted Dreams Podcast with Joe and Marcus. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us at unscripteddreams@gmail.com. If you're interested in listening to exclusive content that includes bonus episodes and our hindsight video series, please join us on Patreon at the Unscripted Dreams Podcast. If you're listening to our podcast on YouTube, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Thank you. Let's go.
As we know, life is full of surprises, both good and bad. The day-to-day journey is full of unforeseen obstacles, and sometimes it's hard to see our way through. Beyond the norm and mundane are where unscripted dreams live. Join us for thought-provoking discussions and interviews to help us navigate through the fog and create our own path. We are the Unscripted Dream Podcast, operating outside the margins to motivate and inspire our audience. So today's episode is inspiration. I'll give you a quick definition. That is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. And that's the perfect definition for today's episode because we actually have a guest outside of Marcus and myself, and his name is Matt. Now, Matt is a pretty good friend of mine. I met him over the years through a internship during my graduate program. And we kind of hit it off from there when we met in San Diego, California, I believe. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself if you can, man. No pressure.
Nah, man. I'm just, you get what you see, man. Real creative guy. Like you mentioned, Joe, we met each other during an internship. I just like to, meet people who have good ideas and kind of like stand-up people. So, and that's pretty much what I am. So, I mean, I'm an open book, really. So I don't have any surprises or anything like that. You get what you see with me.
Well, with you being, or I would like to say, someone that is viewed as has a lot to offer the world, let's open up the airways by speaking on your organization called L.A.C.E.S.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of been thinking about L.A.C.E.S for quite a while, and Joe, you had actually a big part to do with it because I remember you sending those Monday motivations like every Monday. You didn't miss a Monday.
Nah, man.
Like at least you hit it like consistently for years, and I was just like, man, there's a lot of people who would benefit from this type of information. Like it definitely helps me out. And I was just like, man, I feel like the greatest gift is to kind of share what you're passionate about or what it is that, you do to help the next person. And I was like, why don't I just kind of personify that in a company based on my passion for shoes called L.A.C.E.S. That's why I called it L.A.C.E.S, for living a culture everyone shines. So like whatever your passion is, this is kind of a conduit to get that out to the world. And that's kind of what it encompasses, like people like you and I or Marcus, whatever your passion or niche is, like that is what this company represents. And I couldn't have picked a better place to kind of talk about it than with you guys. So
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Especially with you coming up with an amazing acronym. That was creative, man. How long did it take you to really come up with that one?
man, it really it all kind of came together in my head. So like I'll be at the gym thinking of different things I wanted to do with it. So it pretty much started with hitting up one of my old friends from grad school who was like a graphic designer. And I was like, I took a picture of, I think, a pair of Jordan 4s I had on my dining room or my living room table actually. And I was like, hey, can you render this into a logo for me? And she was like, yeah, sure, I could do it. So she sent me a few, samples, and, we kind of picked one. And that's pretty much what I've been doing to get this brand, up and running, just networking with people that I went to school with or people that I knew. And it all kind of came together pretty quickly, Joe. Even reaching out to you about doing your podcast was part of, how I've been able to kind of get this thing moving. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it is, and really wasn't something that came overnight. It was just something that I was gradually thinking of, and finally it was like, you know what, let me at least get a logo going so I have something to look at. So
I understand what you're saying as far as just wanting to get something out there. Like even when you get just the slightest idea of what you want to work on.
right.
What was I guess what was the how long was it between when you had the initial idea between when you actually had something that was tangible that people could see?
Man, like I said, probably, it was sparked by Joe's Monday motivations and things like that. So this, to say like a timeline, it was like probably, I think we met each other in 2013, Joe. So probably like 4 years in the making or so. And
Right.
then when I really decided to take it seriously, it all was pretty quick. Like as soon as I had that logo down, which took like, a few days, then everything started coming together. I started doing photo shoots, this, that, and the third. So once I actually had the logo out, within like a month, I was already trying to get content put together and kind of ideas, had my own vision board set up. So yeah, it came pretty quickly because I think about all these things in my head, but to actually put it on paper, that's like a big step. So once I was able to get a logo down, next one thing after another started coming together. So yeah.
So, Matt, with that being said, I know you shed light on me doing the Motivational Mondays, which I still do, and I actually have them posted um, on the internet as well every Monday.
Yes, sir.
Who are your notable inspirations? Like something that I guess everybody can relate to, if there is one. Like who inspires you?
Man, I would say like for sure my parents, just because of the work ethic alone. Like my mom still works to this day, and she doesn't even want to retire because she's like all about work. Like if she's even a minute late, and we would take her to work back home in Missouri, she would like her whole world had ended. So kind of like looking at my parents coming from Nigeria, as immigrants, and kind of what they've been able to establish, in their years here, like that's inspiration in itself because if they were able to go through what they went through for us, having 5 kids, like there's no excuse not using the opportunity you're given living in this country. So that's just a given, my parents. And then I think, Joe, you and I talked about this, guys like Kobe Bryant, Nipsey Hussle, like just out of that drive and inspiration and passion, like those are guys I looked at in like grad school. To get through school, I was like using that Mamba mentality, like getting up early, doing what I could, as much time of the day, wasn't wasted. Hitting the gym at 5 o'clock. You can ask some people, that I was around, like we would go to the gym at 5 a.m. and I'd hold them to it. So just that mentality, that Mamba mentality, that hustle, the marathon continues mentality, like that's what I bring to this platform, and it's an extension of that. So, those are the three major inspirations I could think of, really.
I've shed some light on Nipsey Hussle on this, and he's got a lot of quotables, man, for being here on this earth for a very short amount of time. Kobe, not to not mention him, but there's so much that we can get from him. This guy's gonna be around like he left a bigger footprint than someone like Bruce Lee, in my opinion. And that's major. But what I'm saying is because he's more visual, we got a chance to see more of him and his attitude and his character versus someone like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is like a mystery because we didn't get to see everything. We all heard the great stories that were told about him. So when I think of people that inspired me over the years, man, it's so many to name, but I would just continue to speak on Kobe, man, like, because I know that's your favorite player, man. And, mine's Scottie Pippen. I know that's crazy. He's doing a fool right now on the internet, looking like Future more and more every day. But but Kobe, man, just like how he's got the dog in him, man. That's the reason why he got to where he was, and that's what I aspire to be every day, is someone that's got the dog in them, someone that's just not going to give up. I got so much against me. Why should I lose? And that's my mentality. Everybody expects me to lose all my life, so why not prove them wrong? And I love that. That's my fighting chance. That's the reason why you get those motivational Mondays, just because I refuse to give up.
Right. And even like his last year, like he had maybe he retired in 2016, and he had about let's see, he died this year. So he had almost like 3 years, really. And the things that he was able to accomplish, he got an Academy Award, New York Times bestseller, 2 jerseys retired. He had an Emmy. Like all this stuff that he did post retirement is more than most people can even do in their lifetime. And that's not even talking about his career in the NBA. Like that should tell you something. Like this man was, he invested in body armor, that sports drink, and that thing already quadrupled in profit. Like he was on a tear.
Wait a
And
minute. He invested in body armor?
yeah, he was one of the first people.
I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Body armor was Kobe Bryant, and he had that little podcast, the Punies. He had all this stuff coming out, man. And it was just like, you know what? That was kind of my wake up call to even go extra hard, when he passed. So, it's no joke with Kobe.
Well, shoot, man. Like I said, man, he's definitely great, and he's gonna be around for a long time. Maybe not in flesh, but definitely in spirit. So with everything tying into you building an organization and some people that are notable for being a key contributor to you doing what you do each day, man, how do you reach out to people? How do you try to become what inspires you?
That's what it's about, man. Like I told you this the other day, and I told my friend Brandon this, who shot some video footage for me. I just go out and I'll be hitting the LinkedIn's up because there's always somebody out there that's trying to like build their brand or kind of, find some freelance work or whatever. And being in Austin, thankfully, like I've been networking with so many people already that it's kind of helped me, facilitate that even more. So like I just hit up an animator the other day and she's working on an animation piece for me, for the brand, and we're just brainstorming. Like this was at midnight. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going back and forth, sending different ideas, storyboards, things like that. And that's what it's about. Like it's not no quid pro quo or whatever. It's like let's help each other out. Let's put what we have, projects or passions, and put that in a showcase where everyone can see it and you can inspire the next person. And she was inspired by just my idea, because I sent her a rough draft of, some of our promo, footage that we shot when I was back home. And she was like, yes, like I'm on board. And it's like, we're all dreamers. Like, that's what it's about. If I can inspire you to do what you truly, truly love, then, that's what this is about. And that's what brings me, satisfaction with this whole thing.
What you're saying, Matt, is I think it's pretty important because like you were mentioning how Joe, and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, just about how Joe was sending his motivational Mondays out. And I don't think at the time, I mean, Joe really understanding the impact that he has on people by kind of doing that and how that kind of leans toward people being inspired to do something. Because I remember Joe sending me that message and I was lost somewhere in Mount Pleasant when he sent me that. I was like, what is he sending me? The first time he sent that out, because he wasn't broadcasting or anything like that. But, over time, that consistency in that message, it really, like it inspires me to do things like it's probably inspired you as well, Matt. And
right.
Like you were saying, like you're working with somebody and what you're sending them inspires them and it gets them excited to do more of what they have a passion for. And that's one of the key things with inspiration is that, sometimes it comes from places that you didn't think it was going to come from. And sometimes people are dishing out, like Joe was dishing out that inspiration unintentionally. He
Right.
didn't know he was serving it up like that.
Not at all, bro. Not at all.
My brother, I forward those messages to my family. They be acting like, man, where you getting all this? I'm like, man, this is my homeboy. He's been sending me messages every Monday. I can't name a Monday he's missed. Like Joe knows this.
Man. Yeah, dude, because when I started sending them out, I was in a bad place. And, I was just like, man, these folks probably going to think I'm crazy. Probably think I'm writing a suicide note or something like that. And, I was just trying to basically just talk through my experience and share my experience through people, with people. And it ended up being something even deeper than that, where people resonate with it and occasionally people tell me their life story about what I said or touched on is how that's directly impacting their life or how they're going through something. So it's a great way to connect with people. And just like you said, this is news to me, but, like people continuously tell me they forward my messages on to other people that I am far removed from, and they find inspiration in it. And I was like, hey, man, that's the whole purpose. This isn't meant for me. This was a gift to give to everybody. So why withhold that?
Right.
So, Matt, I have another question for you. What is, if you can, you can break it down in layman's terms for me, if you don't mind. But what is the main objective of the projects that you work on? What's your main focus?
Yeah. So my whole interest and passion is, sneakers, fashion, art. Okay. But I like to hear other people's ideas and not just, be about me. So really it is about the people that I connect with that are content creators. So even my sister, she just bought a pair of some Reebok running shoes, and she gave a real authentic review of how she felt wearing them. And I was like, oh, bet. And she was like, can I do like a video review for this shoe? Because, I didn't find it comfortable, whatever her, perspective was on the shoe. I was like, that's dope because somebody could definitely benefit from that. People already do shoe reviews on YouTube and make a great living at it. I'm just like, that's a component. As far as I am concerned, is I want to see how this goes. If it works out, if it doesn't work out, at least I tried. And my intentions is to write a book about how I use something I was passionate about, which is shoes and things like that, and kind of made it bigger than that, So if one person leaves inspired or they're that much closer to achieving what it is they want to achieve, that's what I hope to gain from this whole thing. It's not anything monetary or, I'm trying to make a quick buck or whatever. It's like, no, I spent my own money, on a lot of things for this company. So, I think the next step is looking at merch and stuff like that. But, you have to have some money coming in to like further facilitate this. But at the end of the day, like the imprint Kobe left on me and like Nipsey is like, they inspire me. Like, I feel like the best thing I could do to pay homage to them is to inspire the next person, and that's really what this is all about. It's like we all have a passion. Why not see where it goes?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best approach. That's how to do it, man. The biggest step is taking that first step and getting out there and just doing it, man. Right. And you just learn and you learn and you learn and you learn. The more you realize that the beginning is the hardest part of the process, the easier it is to jumpstart anything else. That's what I've learned over time through all these experiences. I never thought that my motivation would bring me here to speak to you or Marcus on a level like this. This is letting me know that there's still purpose in life and we're elevating. So I'm hoping with the knowledge that we have, we can pass it on to our youngins or people that look up to us, and they can take it even further than where we got it.
Right. They say mass expansion leads to elevation, so that's exactly what you just said. Mass expansion leads to elevation.
I like that.
We help the next person, we grow ourselves and they grow. And it's like a chain effect. You affect the next person, like Marcus, you, me, whoever's listening to this, like someone's going to come away with some type of inspiration with just seeing some people, just doing what it is they want to do, which a lot of people are afraid of because they feel like, oh, I'm not going to make rent. It's not going to pay. These are engineered ways of thinking that our parents and society put on us. Like, of course we're scared to be artists and stuff like that because we equate that with you're not making a living, and things like that. But it's like, yeah, we've done everything that we were taught to do. Go to school, go to high school, go to college. Now it's time for us to dabble in other things. You know what I'm saying? We're young. We have time. Time is the only luxury we have. So why not? Why not go for it?
Well, I don't mean to change up from this amazing talk so far already. But I have to know, man, just because I was taken back how proactive you are in doing things. Um, I was gonna ask if you could shed some light as far as like how you reach out to people on social media and you use it to expand your brand.
Yeah, so like what I was saying, like I'll go on LinkedIn, right, or wherever, or just people from that I meet in the city or whatever, and I'll go to these networking events as well, and everyone has a story, so I'll just reach out to them. I'll give them that elevator pitch of what I'm trying to do, and I'll set up a coffee date or whatever, and you know that's pretty much how it is. It's like cold calling, but it's like cold social media-ing, I guess, if that's a thing. Like I'll look out for different people that have certain talents, and I'll kind of recruit them, and I'll be like, "Yo, can you help me with this? I'm trying to do my brand, and I am not good at X, Y, or Z." And they will, spend the time to talk to me and kind of like give me their perspective. And sometimes it leads to collaboration, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a really great tool because LinkedIn, connects you with all sorts of people. So that's what I usually do. Instagram, whatever social media. I mean, it's more to social media than boomerangs and such.
It takes a level of boldness just to be able to, reach out to people and ask them for, to share their expertise with you, and to know that, that maybe you struggle in certain areas, and that you reach out to people and you ask them, can they help you with it? And I think from just the communication that you've provided so far, you have an understanding that not everybody you reach out to is going to provide you exactly what you're looking for. Like sometimes it's kind of hit or miss, so you have to, I mean, and that's the expectation I think that I kind of would like people to pull from it, is that like cold calling, the mentality on cold calling is that, I mean, if you worked in sales, like cold calling is not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to cold call somebody up and you don't know where they're at. I mean, there's a reason it's called cold calling, because you just don't know if it's a hot lead or it's a cold lead or whatever, so you're hitting somebody up and you don't know what exactly you're going to get back. And, just to have that mentality to grow your brand and grow your business, and to understand, and to understand that, you're going to reach out to people. I mean, I'm sure you reach out to people and they don't even respond.
Oh yeah. All the time.
So, that's just part of the game right there.
Yeah, you can't take that personal at all.
No, you got to crack the code. Like you're gonna get 10 no's before you get to a yes, and that's just part of the game. That's like what you said. Cold calling. It's really what it is.
It's the game of mathematics at that point, man. You playing strictly mathematics, man. This make me think of Jehovah's Witnesses, man. Like, I know it's funny, but like that's calculated, man. When you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but no, I feel like that's a good point to get across to people, is that you have to be willing to deal with rejection, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And the one thing about inspiration is that, like, there's a reason why inspiration starts with M, because it's something that's internal. It's something that's inside of you that has to push you forward. Like motivation is something else. Motivation is more of a like external force. Like motivation is like, when you're low on gas and you need to put $2 in your tank just to keep you going. Like that's motivation. It's just a little bit to get you where you want to be. But that inspiration, that's inside of you. That's something that's present, whether there's motivation there for you or not. And you need that to keep you moving. Like you need something that's at your core to keep you pursuing these goals. Because, I mean, Matt, I know, Joe, that when you send somebody a message and they don't respond, like that can be discouraging. But if there's something inside of you that tells you that this is my passion, this is my goal, I'm going to do what it takes to get to where I want to get. And that allows you to push past that the rejection, that allows you to push past the failure. And I think that's important with anybody who's building anything. And if you have a passion, like you have to be inspired to do what you do. That motivation is like, it's like gas. It's like fuel. Like you need something more to that.
Right. But who are some of y'all's inspirations? I don't think we've touched on that. Like, who inspired y'all? Like,
Joe, I'll let you lead on that.
Well, man, to be honest with you, dude, I got people I looked up to, but I've only got two people that I ever really acknowledged as inspiration in my life. One primarily being my father. And it's really interesting because he would talk so far above my head. I never looked at him as being inspiring. I know that sounds crazy, right? That's how forward thinking he is as an individual. So it didn't start to click until I hit probably about 19 or 20. So, you know, this whole time around that time I had like a coming to Jesus moment and realized like, man, this guy's been kicking straight knowledge. And this whole time I couldn't understand or hit whatever he was trying to say because I was on a whole different wavelength. But the other person, rest in peace, would be my uncle. For whatever reasons, he could always break things down for me. So that's why I appreciated him. It was almost like he was my journey on the way to meeting what my dad was saying. So I had a chance to experience my uncle for all the way up to, I believe, 24, 23 years old. And then around that time is when, I started really picking up on what my dad was saying because he's such a forward thinker. It's really weird how things like that happen. But to be lighter, I would say, I was always big in hip hop. So I would listen to a lot of people that talked about something. So whether it was Most Def or Ice Cube, don't judge me. I did like what Juvenile had to say.
no, he's a legend. Yeah.
And when you talk about Trick Daddy, I know he says a lot of ignorant stuff, but there's a message behind his music too. So these are the type of like people I would listen to when I grew up, man. And yeah, it's mainly hip hop, bro. It's mainly hip hop. I love sports, but I felt like hip hop had a stronger voice.
Yeah, that's true. Hip hop had that voice for us, like people just like to pick things actually, and be like, oh man, they define one song that someone's come out with, but they don't look at the whole catalog. So
Exactly.
you could pick like a Jay-Z song, like Money Cash Hoes or something, and then you don't listen.
Hey man, that's the song, bro.
It hit. I mean, that slaps, but I'm like, there's more to it. Everyone's like an onion. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all read this book by Michael Eric Dyson it's Jay-Z. It's called Jay-Z. And he pretty much was saying a lot of stuff I already knew, but he was talking about how there's so much socioeconomic, language in a lot of Jay's lyrics, and so much. There's something called bright and blight hustling, right? So bright hustling is what he's doing now, where he is investing in his community and artwork, Rock Nation, all that kind of stuff. And then blight is like hustling from the bottom, like, when he used to sell crack or, people that used to run the numbers, scammers, prostitution. And those are the two different aspects, that he talks about in the book. And it was really mind blowing because, a lot of people don't think like that. Like some people are just casual fans.
That guy's hustle, that guy's grind was amazing. How this whole time when I was younger, I thought he was making and moving units and music out of New Orleans. This guy at the start of his career moved out to Oakland area, Bay Area out there in California, and he had his own record shop. And that's where he started mainly, doing his music for No Limit Soldiers. So this whole time, I didn't know he was chilling on the West Coast. I thought he was in New Orleans having a ball down there, and making music. But this guy had his own record store, and then he just took off. Like, he obviously put out the ignorant music that he knew people would eat up and buy. And he graduated after he got that $500 million deal. And he started investing into clothing, rims, you name it. So like, that's what I think of when you talk about Jay-Z graduating and doing blight to bright hustling. Man, you got to keep evolving. And that's what I like about it. It's really sad hearing famous people or people that come from poverty, and then they get the money and they don't know what to do with it. So that's one of the most disheartening stories you could ever hear, but you hear it happen so much.
Right. That's true, man. Like another inspiration, like Michael Jackson, right? You take someone like that who was well beyond, his years just by his talent, but you know, he bought like the Beatles catalog in '88 or something like that, and they're like, "Dang, this dude bought music rights. He could do that." And he's like over here selling songs to like Nike and all these different companies, and everyone hated him for it because they're like, "This dude has so much power." But he was
Mhm.
thinking as a businessman, and he was and the reason he ended up doing that is because he was with Paul McCartney, and they're working on a song or something, and he was like, Paul McCartney was like, "I'm gonna buy my music back, the catalog, once it gets to a certain price, because I'm not paying that much for my own music." And a lot of people don't know this. Mike, was like joking with him, like, "I'm gonna buy your music one day, or whatever." And he didn't think anything of it. And before he knew it, Michael gave him an opportunity to buy it, and he didn't want to buy it, and he went ahead and bought it, which is what caused a rift in their friendship. And it's like, you can't really hate on him for that. He gave him an opportunity. And I feel like Jay-Z goes through the same sort of loopholes, with his business acumen, that a lot of people look at him in a bad light just because he outsmarts them or he takes advantage of opportunities that they're not ready for. And I think that is like just so super dope. Like, you can't learn that in school. Like, you can only learn by like people like that, like watching what they do and seeing, what they're able to do with it. Like, it's inspiring in itself.
Yeah, I also want to add on to that too. I don't think it's just Jay-Z. Of course, it's Jay-Z as the man. He's intelligent. He's a genius. I'm not taking anything from him, but the man's so smart. I feel like he even strategically picked his team that makes him look even better. Like when
Right.
you think of his counterpart or his wife, Beyonce, think about her. The people that she has in her camp and her team, why you think there's not like a flaw or any dirt on her name, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
she picked her team. Like, I don't think people understand that just as important as it is for you to stay level headed and inspired, you also have to keep people that are like minded to a certain extent as far as pushing the agenda forward.
Right. I totally agree with that. No doubt.
Well, man, that's a lot.
Oh, it is, man. It's like Crash 101, finance and, financial security. Everyone wants to talk about it now too, though, which is good because, but when we grow up, our aspirations change, right? So like growing up in like middle school, I would draw like Lexuses and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna get a Benz, I'm gonna get a Lexus, like whatever a rapper had, right, on Cribs or making the video. Do y'all remember that? Making the video?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, BET Uncut or whatever it was, Access Granted, I think was it. And like
Yeah.
those were things, material things. That's like what you aspired for. But now when you get older, you think, okay, these things only give me happiness for X amount of time. Like, what really gives you happiness? And it's like, you know what, having something to pass on, to your kids once you have them, or if you have them, like that's where it's at. Like, that takes a lot of growing pains to understand. Like all this material stuff, it fades away. Like, there's never going to be enough, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or whatever to keep you satiated. Like, you're gonna want more and more. And that's when I've kind of like was like, you know what? Like, I gotta look into other things. Like, there's gotta be something more that's not like materialistic for me to really, aspire for. So I don't mean to hit y'all with all that, but it's just real.
Not very important that you touch on these because you're a whole different individual outside of us, so you can hit different wavelengths for people that are actually listening and processing what's being said. Sometimes, when you hear the same voice episode after episode after episode after episode, you become kind of predictable. Our whole goal is not to sound predictable. or be predictable. So this is the reason why we would love to have guests like you. And hopefully this isn't the only time we have you on here. And I think that would definitely push our agenda forward, just because we're adding flavor to our makeup for the show.
Right.
So it's very important. So whatever you have to say, don't hold back.
Oh no, I never do, brother. I never do. Like I said, you get what you see with me. No matter how crazy I might look, or no matter how many times you have to explain something to me, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna keep asking until I understand it, or even if I don't understand it. But I've thrown that out the window a long time ago in terms of like being reserved and not saying what's on my mind and like biting my tongue. And it's so much like it's so liberating once you like change that mindset. Like, how can someone's opinion of you hold so much weight if they're not like your parents or whoever? Like, if I talk to
And that,
someone and they're like, dude, you bugging, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm bugging.
and that's why I feel like a lot of people are using social media in the wrong way, in every which way almost, because of what you just said right there. People care too much about how many damn likes I have, how many retweets, how many followers I have. I've heard people blatantly speak on, and I've actually heard a podcast earlier today where someone said some people won't even talk to you if you don't have enough followers. Like, what type of crap is that?
Right.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, having that mentality and just thinking that way, it just lets me know how closed-minded you are as a person.
Right.
And we need less of that. We need more open-minded people. That's what's going to help us be great.
Absolutely. I agree. That's why we work well, man. Like, we got the same type of notions and mentality. Like, it's like easy.
Yeah, man. Flow like water for sure.
Exactly. Bruce Lee. That's a Bruce Lee reference you just made, right?
Yeah,
Be
man.
like water, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool though. I don't know, Marcus, you didn't answer that. Your inspirations?
Oh, all right. I just want to let the conversation flow. But
Oh man, no.
mine, nah, but mine's. I mean, my inspiration is kind of similar to Joe, my father. Just and kind of just like very similar to Joe. I remember us having a discussion with my brother the other day. He was just telling me how like our dad used to just come and like he would just come and just like talk to us for like hours, and it was never when we wanted him to talk to us. It'd be like mad inconvenient, like I'm trying to go to sleep or I'm trying to play video games or something, you know.
Right.
He'd just sit there and talk to us, and it wasn't until I got older, like more so like the same thing you were saying, Joe, like 23, 24, maybe a little bit younger, but sometimes a little bit older than that.
Yep.
And I would kind of realize that, I mean, he was really trying to put like my brother and I on game, and he was sharing what he knew with us, but it wasn't until I matured that I was really able to appreciate it, what he was telling me. And, you know, a lot of that, like just a lot of the stuff he was sharing, it's like, man, if you could go back in time and just, you know, internalize and act on what, you know, was being shared with me, it would have changed a lot of what I was doing. But, you know, sometimes you got to figure things out for yourself. But, you know, it got to a point where I was a certain age and I was like, if my father tells me something, I'm probably just going to listen because I know from experience that what he was telling me was in my best interest. I just chose not to listen, or sometimes I just had to feel like some things you have to figure out for yourself. But with age comes wisdom, and part of having wisdom is knowing when it's important to listen. You know, but that outside of my father, probably my brother, because he played a big role in taking care of me growing up, just because he's 6 years older than me. So, you know, that he played a big role in just like leading by example and providing a kind of a blueprint for, you know, who I wanted to be as an adult. And even a blueprint is to, you know, like who I wanted to be because there comes a point for every person where you have to decide to be your own individual. So up until the point where I decided to be like, I was like, it just got to the point where I was just like, I'm going to be Marcus. And that's it. So I think my brother kind of helped me out in the point to where I even got to the point where it's like, I don't want to be like my brother. I just want to be me, but I want to be the best person, you know, that I can be and do what I excel at and do what makes me happy. And I think those two played a big piece into like who I am and like really how I interact like every day in society is those two.
That's what's up. That's dope, man. That's dope.
Well, here goes the one last thing, and I think we could wrap this up. Uh, and this is a really tough question to ask because I try to ask myself this all the time. Now, as important as it is to keep your circle, however, I guess keep your circle to a level of comfort to yourself. Whoever you choose to surround yourself with. Do you know, or could you give us an example of what would be like a perfect balance for like having a circle? Like, is it a number thing, or is it dependent on what certain people or each individual brings to the table, like that type of stuff? I know it's a hard question to answer, but I always try to find a way to answer a question or take advice from someone that may be able to process something I can't really understand myself.
Yeah, man. Like you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So, people that I ingratiate myself with are usually people I grew up with, just because there's a reason we still connect to this day. There's actual value in that friendship. I really don't. I'm not attracted to people if it's just, um, like there's no content to it. So if it's just to go out every week or even every weekend or whatever, and obviously that's not what I'm about. So I probably won't be around that person too much. I mean, here and there, every once in a blue moon. But if it's someone that has something that, I'm drawn to, or they see in me and they want to, help harness that, then you'll see those type of people around me. Like there's things that I'm not strong at, like I can speak for myself. I'm very creative, but at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest um, numbers guy or, analytical guy, but I'll have people that I know that are more, I guess, versed in that aspect. So, yeah, so I'm more of like a United Nations of people, like you don't want to be around people who are just like you. Like I don't think anybody wants to do that. And I think that's what's so
Yeah.
great is you have people that are so different and unique that you're like, man, like every day you can learn from them. And and everyone plays their role too. Like I'm very outspoken, assertive, and that type of person. But if there's too many people that are like that type of personality, there's obviously going to be a lot of risk and tension in the group. So there's probably a reason why a lot of people that I've been around to this day we don't really speak, because we're so stubborn and we're set in our ways. But you kind of need that person in your crew to kind of bring you down. Like, yo, man, like I got this homeboy, who's real quiet, but if something upsets him, then you're like, you gotta like you handle it, because like, whoa, like this is the most chill, nice dude, and he's upset. Like, what is it that can make this man upset? We gotta figure that out. So that sort of thing. Like, I don't go out looking for a particular type of people, but if there's something that I see in someone, I'm like, dang man, like we should connect. You know how it is. If you go out and you were like, yeah, we should call each other. We could, you go to a bar or something or wherever. You don't expect to even follow up with that person. They probably already forgot who you were, had too much Grey Goose. The mind's gone at this point, and nothing ever comes from it. So I feel like the people that are in your life are there for a reason, and the people in your circle are there for a reason, and there's a reason that they stay with you through the thick and thin. There's a main cast of people, and then there's just a bunch of extras, in each person's life. So, yeah, man, I hope I answered that.
No, man, I think you did a very great job as trying to answer that weird question I asked.
You saw good, man.
Well, Marcus, you have anything?
Yeah, man. I guess my last question for you is I really want people that are listening to know where they can find you.
Find me?
Yeah.
Like, with the brand and everything. Well, right now I'm just pretty much on like, Instagram and LinkedIn. So if they look up Matty Meister, Mattmysta, that's my Instagram handle. and I post a lot of content with my other account, the L.A.C.E.S 2018, and 2018 is spelled out 20 and then the number 18. And that's where I'm gonna be putting a lot of the content, until I get the website up and running. So they'll see a lot of me on there. LinkedIn, L.A.C.E.S on LinkedIn, or they can search my profile as well. But I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, L.A.C.E.S. They can search that as well. But I'm really trying to get the website going, hopefully soon, so that it could be a lot more succinct and people can kind of like go to the website primarily. So yeah.
I got you. All right, man. Sounds good. Sounds good, sir. That's all I have for you. I want people to know where they can get at you, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Or they could just
Well,
call Joe's number. I could connect them to me.
that works too. That works. Well, hey man, we're never gonna bring no sometimey person on here, so let this be a test here that we bring amazing people on here to speak life into this platform, as well as not only are we taking from them, but they're definitely taking from us too, in a good way. So I think it's reciprocated. So I'm going to be the first to say, I hope we bring you back.
Yeah, I would love to come back for sure. You already know.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was definitely nice talking with you, man, for this episode, man. I hope a lot of people learned something.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully somebody could take something away, because I think, I see something in all of us. I just met Marcus and I already know, he's got that the essence to him. Like everyone, you can learn from everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not?
Most definitely. So with that being said, man, I don't have anything else to say. If you don't mind, Maddie, reciting your stuff out there in case people might forget. So I like to announce it more than once.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Maddie Meister, that's my gram handle, and then Laces 20. Let me make sure this is right though, because I know it's like a very particular way of typing it. So
Okay.
no, but for the Laces account, if you want to look that up, that's Laces _ 20 TWENTY 18. So Laces _ 20 spelled out, and then the number 18. And I'll be posting a lot of content that I'm working on right now on there, so people can see that first on that platform until I get the website up.
I appreciate it.
And then it's Laces for like Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So I post a little bit of stuff on there too. But I'm gonna get me a social media person.
Oh no, man, we understand that. We know what that's about.
Yeah, it's a battle in itself.
But
Well, all right. I guess this concludes our episode and of inspiration, and I appreciate you guys for listening.
No doubt. Y'all take care, all right? All right. Peace.
yeah, I'm still